time has come. I can see
Level up.
Hulk has better things to do than smash puny He-Man. Hulk-Man! We warned you.
this should be over swiftly.
We warned you. You're not as tough as you think! You're To keep going. Ready for some fun? Hulk was just getting started!
This should be over swiftly. Broken bodies, shattered minds. This should be something. Let me help with that. Eat dirt!
Hulk was just getting started!
Time to go. I can see your... Fire
halt to blood.
Over. Yet my blade still hungers.
Plenty of rage to go around. We warned you. You ready for some fun? We cannot take. You think you can beat Hulk? How cute!
Eat dirt. Let me help you then.
Win without us!
Level up.
Let's head out. Press on. Never gets old.
Nowhere to I'm a hired assassin, but you won't kill for free.
Forget about us!
I'll crush you, sweet Christmas!
Don't waste your time on such frivolity. Have you come all this way to die? Just cold steel.
Forget about us!
Get up. Or don't. I don't care. Get up. Or don't. I don't care. Nowhere to
Let's head out. Never know when to quit, do they?
Like there was ever any doubt.
That never gets old.
Have you come all this way to die? Shameful. Turn and run while you still can.
even warmed up. Don't make this harder than it needs to
That never gets old. Let's head out. You guys made a big mistake. Hulk was just getting started. It's anyone else want to feel Hulk's fist? Hulk has better things to do than smash puny idiots. Power Slam!
Waste your time on such frivolity.
Maybe this one will put up a decent fight. This bites.
All right, what's next?
It's on. Power slam.
Make your peace. Taste cold steel. Taste cold
Let's do this. Let's do this. Let's do this. Let's do this.
Make your peace.
My fight's over.
Nowhere to run. Nowhere to run.
And all of this has made Smith incredibly rich. As of last year, he's worth $2.5 billion. And on his website, you can even see fun videos of employees getting tased in the office or at corporate events, and some have even roped in family members to do it with them.
Yeah, so fun fact, my mom and I did an exposure together, and I asked her to do it with me, and she did. So now we have the distinction of being the only mother-daughter duo in Axon Taser history to be hit from an X2.
Oh, that's cute. Now, please do both try and go to therapy. Mothers and daughters are literally more likely to get tased together and feel matrilineal trauma. Also, If any men are wondering how you're supposed to react to a story like that, I'll tell you how. Like her co-worker here, stay frozen, King. This is not your story. This is not your fight. Axon's execs have also reportedly urged staff to make things permanent by getting tattoos of the company logo. In fact, here's Rick Smith with one. I'm sorry, but that is just an objectively shitty logo to have tattooed on your body. It looks like a Spy Kids watch celebrating its first year of sobriety. Now, Axon insists that no employee is ever pressured to get tased or tattooed, which is a hell of a thing to have to insist. The Smith does love engaging in big displays at corporate events, attending one as Taser Man in this deeply ill-advised superhero costume. And at another, he told the company's origin story while appearing remotely in what I'm going to warn you is the dumbest possible way.
Today, I want to tell you the story. It's our story of the roots of Taser and Axon. How we came to be. In December 1990, two of my high school friends were shot and killed only a few miles short in what started as an altercation at a red light. They were in their early 20s, barely beginning to figure out life, and in the blink of an eye, 3 lives were destroyed. I found it absurd that the self-defense choice in the 20th century was still a bullet, the same tool we've used to kill each other for centuries.
Okay, first, to get the obvious out of the way, that monstrosity is what Rick calls his avatar. And sure, he could have just zoomed in. That was 2022. After all, we all knew how to do that by then. But instead, he paid a man in a jacket to make random arm movements while wearing a bike helmet with an iPad projecting his face. He looks like a member of Dark trying to sell you a timeshare. But that aside, the tragic origin story Smith's selling there is one he likes to tell a lot. He's mentioned it in interviews, at other events, and even in an SEC filing where he wrote, "I had 2 friends who were shot and killed. I was enraged that such a terrible thing could happen, and I wanted to do something about it." And that would be a genuinely noble reason to focus on non-violence. But the thing is, while those young men were sadly killed, when reporters looked into it, they found, according to multiple family members, Smith was not friends with the deceased. He did go to the same high school, but it was not at the same time, according to school yearbooks. And while Smith insists he knew them through social events, one of their best friends later told a reporter, "I don't know any Rick Smith." All of which puts a bit of damper on Rick's origin story. Imagine finding out Bruce Wayne's parents weren't even murdered. It kind of makes this guy's ordeal even more confusing. Bruce, why are you doing this? Your parents are alive and well in Florida, but you never return them. Their calls. They just won their pickleball semi-finals. There's a seat at the championship with your name on it. Please just pick up the phone. And that's not the only area where Smith and Axon's relationship to facts is shaky. Because let's now talk about the 2 main selling points for tasers, that they're effective and that they're safe. And let's start with effective. In the past, Axon's claimed tasers are between 80 and 97% effective at subduing a suspect in the field. But one survey of police data found many departments disputed that, with one city claiming they were as effective as little as 55% of the time.
Target engaged. Time for one more spider.
And Axon's response was incredibly to complain that survey didn't give them credit for instances when a suspect was subdued after not merely displaying or threatened to fire a taser. But at that point, that's not really about their device, is it? You could presumably get that result with a gun, a flamethrower, or a magic fucking wand. And the thing is, if a taser doesn't work, police might then escalate up to a more violent option. Between 2015 and 2017, more than 250 fatal police shootings occurred after a taser failed to incapacitate a suspect, and in 106 of them, the suspect became more violent after receiving the electrical shock, which is understandable. Also, when we talk about tasers being effective, at what exactly? Because it's often less a taser being used instead of a more lethal option like a gun, and more a taser being used instead of a less lethal option like talking to someone. Cops have repeatedly been found to use tasers when they're in no imminent danger whatsoever, as a reflexive response to subdue anyone from unarmed, mentally disturbed or intoxicated individuals to suspects fleeing minor crime scenes, to people simply arguing with police or failing to comply immediately with a command. In fact, remember that heartwarming story about Miami cops getting tasers and going 16 whole months without shooting a single person before starting again? Well, it turns out, in that time, They use those tasers a lot because... like this.
About 1 week after learning from CNN that police tasered a 6-year-old boy in one of its elementary schools, the district said no more. In a letter sent to Miami-Dade's police chief, the school superintendent asked that police, quote, refrain from deploying tasers against elementary school students.
So that leads us to our last hard question. Should police be able to use tasers on children?
That is a wild question to be asking. And also, that's basically what the news was like in 2004, relating the ethics of tasing 6-year-olds in between manufacturing consent for the Iraq War. And before you ask, someone absolutely did call into answer that question, and yes, I am going to play you their response.
The situation warranted, but should be allowed to use tasers. I wish I could have used one on my son.
My instinct is still to disagree, but I do want to hear her side of the story. But it's true, cops have tased kids, and some see nothing wrong with that. In 2018, a cop in Cincinnati chased an 11-year-old who was protesting and then tased her. And this is how he tried to justify that to her afterwards.
The last thing I want to do is tase you like that. When I say stop, you stop. You know you call me, just stop. That hurt my heart to do that to you. Then I gotta listen to all these idiots out here in the parking lot tell me how I was wrong.
Are you ready for one more spider?
You broke the law, and you fled as I tried to apprehend you.
Okay, first, if you're tasing an 11-year-old at all, let alone for shoplifting, the idiot in the parking lot is very much you. And as for that hurt my heart, I do not feel bad for you. For the same reason I wouldn't feel bad for a kidnapper if their ransom note started with, this is really uncomfortable for me because I'm actually a people pleaser. So when it comes to the efficacy of tasers, to take the company's word for it. And honestly, when you look at some of Axon's initial tests, they're not that reassuring because their early animal and human tests didn't use control groups and consisted pretty much entirely of just tasing 1 pig, 5 dogs, and some willing cops. Which honestly sounds less like a good sample size for a safety study and more like the original pitch for Paw Patrol. And look, no one wants to see any of those dogs. Oh, gee! Oh, no! Oh, no! They're fine, they're fine, they're fine. They are probably fine.
Defeat is your only reward.
But even as tasers were rolling out around the country, some news outlets began noticing a worrying trend. One of the first to do that was CBS back in 2004. They got a heated response from Richmond.
At least 40 people have died after being hit with stun guns. James Borden, shot 3 times, died while tussling with jailers in Indiana. David Blauzinski died in his New York neighborhood just after being stunned. So did Willie Loman of Las Vegas.
None of these cases has the person died while being hit with the taser. Of the cases that we've seen, we strongly believe, and our medical experts strongly believe, the taser had no causal effect in those fatalities. Had the taser not been used, all 40 of those people would still be dead today.
You're saying that this was a coincidence? They would have died anyway?
In every single case, these people would have died anyway.
Anyone else feel kind of bad?
Well, that is some amazing, completely unprovable bullshit. Sure, maybe all those people would have died anyway. Maybe Shinzo Abe's neck just did that. Who can ever truly know the mind of God? Hey, by the way, the former Prime Minister of Japan got assassinated 3 years ago. I literally never talked about it. I'm not peddling conspiracies, not suggesting anything sinister is afoot, just observing our cultural immunity to the relentless onslaught of horrors following us along toward death, which will come for all of us one day, but crucially, as we all now know, not at the hands of a taser. That would be impossible. But pretty soon it became clear there actually were some safety issues with tasers because as tests inside and outside of the company became more rigorous, by the mid-2000s, multiple studies, including one commissioned by Axon themselves, found that tasers could disrupt the heart. Yet Axon's only real response to that came 3 years later after they lost their first court case when they began advising police against aiming at the chest. And when police departments became understandably concerned about that warning, Rick Smith tried to reassure them on a conference call that it really wasn't anything to worry about.
I want to start by addressing a couple of questions we've been receiving over email. The first one is, are chest hits with a taser dangerous? And the answer to that is definitively no.
Oh, that's nice. Again and again in that call, Smith went out of his way to downplay the change in guidance, saying it was made for risk management because of the eventual bad outcome. It saves us all the controversy. Basically, don't pay too much attention to the guidelines. They're just legal mumbo-jumbo. Kind of like how this is officially sold on Amazon as a wired, powerful, handheld electric back massager. The company's officially stating it should be used on your back. But you know what? Once it's in your hands, your body is your body, your journey is your journey. Go wild. And the thing is, over the years, Axon's put a lot of fine print onto their products about safe use. They suggest avoid cardiac arrest or electrocution. But it does say something. That when a voluntary tasing occurs on its own premises, where the company itself would presumably be liable, its employees are required to sign a waiver that warns of the potential for death at least 12 times. Which is both very telling and, frankly, seems like overkill for any waiver. The one we made our studio audience side only warns about death 4 times. And it's mainly focused on the front row stating they're OK with being in the splash zone. Maybe tonight's the night. Maybe you'll go get splashed. But there is one final twist to this story, where the harm Axon has done extends considerably outwards, because a key component of their defence against liability is the use of a particular phrase you might notice comes up an awful lot in coverage of people who died after tasers.
The coroner's report says being tased, restrained, and stepped on did not kill Rio. Instead, he died from excited delirium.
Autopsy results show that Bullock died of acute exhaustion mania, which is also known as excited delirium syndrome.
The cause is excited delirium.
They labeled his cause of death excited delirium syndrome.
Excited delirium.
Excited delirium.
Her death was ruled an accident caused by a condition known as excited delirium.
Yeah, excited delirium, which I know already sounds like a wildly outdated medical term. It sounds like the second biggest reason people got cocaine from a pharmacy in the 1800s, right after I want some. Very basically, excited delirium means you're essentially out of control, and in that state, your heart can just stop of its own accord, regardless of what anyone else has done to you. Here is one of Axon's go-to medical experts trying to lay out the argument.
In excited delirium, you have an individual who's in a delirious state. He's not oriented to reality. He has hallucinations. He can't think straight. They're described as having superhuman strength. You can taser them, you can hit them, and it doesn't seem to bother them. They still keep going. And then they get into a struggle. And the longer they struggle, the worse it is and the greater probability that death will occur.
Wait, what? If someone dies during a struggle, it's probably because of the struggle, not because of an unrelated syndrome. The reason the San Francisco Chronicle ran headlines about the Zodiac killer being at large and not people dying of spontaneous stab wound syndrome. Also, in unrelated news, some random guy says it's a super fun puzzle. And if that sounds like convenient horseshit, it's because it absolutely is. Professional medical associations have increasingly denounced the term excited delirium as at best useless and at worst racist pseudoscience. And yet, Axon's aggressively pushed the term over the years because it's clearly very useful to them. But it's also become useful to police because they can now use it anytime they want to try and explain away a death during a police encounter, whether tasers are involved or not. They infamously even tried to do it after the killing of George Floyd. And it's worth knowing, from the beginning, this phrase had an ugly history. Its modern usage came from 1980 by a guy named Charles Webb, a forensic pathologist in Miami, who blamed it for the mysterious deaths of more than a dozen black women. When he began to publicise his theory, saying the women had died from combining sex with cocaine use, leading to excited delirium, and the autopsies had conclusively shown they had not been murdered. But you should know, the women's deaths were eventually attributed to a serial killer, and in some cases, according to the chief medical examiner, the signs of asphyxiation were so pronounced that one could see them from 10 feet away. It's that clear. So yeah, Wheatley's an idiot. A racist idiot, but a racist idiot who Axon retained as their expert witness in more than a dozen lawsuits. And in his expert opinion, Wheatley told juries he'd never seen a case where he could say that a taser actually contributed to the death. But hiring Wheatley is just part of it, because Axon and those it works closely with have gone to great lengths to familiarise police with the term excited delirium. At one point, one of the company's attorneys and an expert they funded started this group, which distributed a flyer explaining excited delirium with both recommended taser products to massive shit in the middle of the Whole Foods parking lot. you're doing something very wrong if this kind of response is automatic. And as grim as that sounds in theory, it's worse in practice. Take the death of 18-year-old Israel Hernandez-Lack, who'd been spotted spray-painting the blackened windows of an abandoned McDonald's, got a single shot in the chest with a taser, collapsed on the sidewalk in cardiac arrest, and died. Only 4 hours later, the Miami Beach PD received an email from the company featuring guidance on how investigators should proceed, including a sample press release and an evidence collection checklist. Axon even recommended a specific expert to contact for testing. And sure enough, that expert eventually returned a finding that the body had biomarkers consistent with excited delirium syndrome. And it doesn't even stop there. Axon's presence is even felt at the morgue, as the company sent hundreds of pamphlets to medical examiners explaining how to detect excited delirium. At one point, Axon was even filing lawsuits against medical examiners who attributed in-custody deaths in part to taser use, with one forensic pathologist saying, "You literally get this letter threatening you if you say taser was the cause of death." And those threats got results. According to a 2011 survey, 14% of medical examiners said they modified diagnostic findings due to the possible threat of litigation, and 32% said that threat could affect future decisions. And when you take all of this together, the company's history of excitedly encouraging the use of its product or downplaying its risks and actively trying to suppress anything that might tarnish its reputation, it's just a recipe for disaster. And even some police officers who've gotten accustomed to using tasers can feel betrayed when they learn about purpose. In Warren, Michigan, a 16-year-old died after being tased, and this officer on that force still seems rattled after the fact.
Nobody told us that these tasers were going to kill people, you know? You come out with a sales pitch, you say this, and then when it doesn't work out, you just disappear. That's not right either. Because I'll tell you what, if I discharge pepper spray and it makes a guy go blind, I expect Guardian to come in and explain, because I don't, as far as I'm told, it doesn't make any go blind. I've never seen it. But if that would have happened, damn it, they better come in. That's not my fault. If I knew that about pepper spray, I wouldn't use it, you know? You swore this wasn't going to happen. You swore that this was a statistically normal thing, that these people were not dying at any more of a unusual rate than they would have absent the taser, you know?
Right. I get why he's upset. Axon told him the taser was basically harmless, and the truth is, it's just not. It'd be like finding out that a Nerf gun was used to assassinate JFK. I don't care if Nerf says that was a statistical anomaly. I'm not handling it the same way anymore. So what can we do? Well, I admit, with tasers, it's complicated. I don't hate that there's at least a theoretical alternative to guns, and I guess I'd much rather police tase people than shoot them, although my ultimate preference would be for them to be neither of those and be much more aware of the actual risks involved. One way for us all to better know those risks would be to track taser usage far more closely than we currently do. It really doesn't seem like too much to ask. But beyond all that, I'd argue the term excited delirium should just be gone forever. And there's actually been some encouraging news on that front. In 2023, the National Association of Medical Examiners said it should not be listed as a cause of death. These states have now restricted the use of excited delirium, and New York and Hawaii currently have legislation to do that in the works, which is good. The point here is, we shouldn't keep using tasers like they're magic wands, because they're not. Or pretending deaths could occur after their use don't happen, because they do. And if Axon doesn't want to talk about it, then I will. But I'll do it in the most Axon way I know how. So ladies and gentlemen, please welcome me! Hi there! Hi everyone, hi! Thanks so much for having me. Listen, before you say anything, I know I look a little different, a little less stiff than usual. But don't worry, it's still me, it's just this version of me can dance. Look, I'm dancing now! I've never felt so connected to my body before. I love this! All right, stop. There are a few rules that we should have regarding tasers. First, they're clearly a weapon, so they should be regulated like one. Second, they should only be used in extreme situations, not as a first resort. And finally, no one should ever get tased with their mom as part of a corporate team-building exercise, because that's a very weird thing to do. Now, you'll excuse me. In my last few moments in this body, please let me enjoy having an ass. happy I am! We're living our absolute dreams! That's our show. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next week. Good night!
We're gonna get splashed! Finally, the hunt begins anew.
Covered. Target him, one more spider.
Just another distraction. Let's take them down.
Before it's too late.
Check this
Let's take them down.
Take solace. No one will mourn your loss.
Engage hostiles and eliminate.
Your end has come.
Got you covered.
Obey my will.
Target engaged. Room for one more spider? Audition's over. Don't call us, we'll call you.
Finally, the hunt begins anew. I must feast. Kneel before me. Vibranium slash. Take solace. No one will mourn your loss. Scurry back before it's too late.
Engage hostiles and eliminate.
Vibranium slash.
Let's take them down. Got you covered.
Got you covered.
Catch an attack Oh, am I supposed to know who you are?
Got you covered.
Level up.
And on the banks of the mighty Thames River, we are live tonight at the O2, the focal point of the Greenwich Peninsula in southeast London, and the host tonight live from Monday Night Raw on Netflix, which is presented tonight by Snickers. And we are well on the road to WrestleMania, and Rhea Ripley hopes to punch her ticket to the big event as her opportunity at a rematch for the Women's World title against the current World Champion.
Punch, grab, kick, repeat. Now you see me?
Bianca, the special guest referee for this title.
Target engaged.
I am with you, my brothers.
Is nameless villain a common career choice over here?
Defeat is your only reward.
The smile has become a scowl on the face of the 16-time world champion, John Cena.
Care to dance?
Room for one more spider? Room for one more spider? Widow's kiss.
These talents. I don't bury talent. I am talent. I bury.
Is nameless villain a common career choice over here?
For your failures, you have
Take solace. No more
and your ego.
Take them down.
All you have done here is ride the coattails of my success. I have that the WWE
Just another
can handle
distraction.
We can't all have natural talent.
A slimy who thinks just because he stole the blueprint he can run the kingdom. There's your why, Cody Rhodes.
Let's take them down.
And stole every secret you
Are we
need
done
to be
here?
undeniable.
Then let's move.
But you are still I tried to drill it into your egotistical skull. You have to be authentic because they can see
Scurry back into the dark before it's too late.
You rely on lazy gimmicks. Actually, you are just like the Pied Piper, because all you've ever done is find a way to make a
We can't all have natural talent.
people into loving mediocrity. Strip away his music and entrance, there is not much to look at except a big stripe.
Is nameless villain a common career choice over here?
To make that a symbol of mastery to have it paraded tattooed for the world to see. It's not where your tattoo's at, Cody. It's what your tattoo is that exposes you to the world for who you are, a common fan like them. So after WrestleMania, it'll be great for you. Go straight to Fanatics.